There are enemies who will do anything to spy on you, but few are foolish enough to crawl into a basement full of skunks during mating season like my neighbor, Cheryl Hastings. I could still hear her screams like they happened yesterday. Well, technically, they did happen yesterday. My name is Lucas Grayson, and 6 months ago, I moved to Willow Creek Estates, a peaceful suburban neighborhood famous for its perfect lawns and a particularly overzealous HOA. I'm a freelance wildlife photographer and conservationist, specializing in documenting the lives of misunderstood creatures. The move was supposed to put me closer to the nature reserve while keeping civilization within reach. What I didn't anticipate was that the real predator would be living next door. A 54-year-old woman named Cheryl Hastings, the self-proclaimed queen of the Willow Creek HOA. I first met Cheryl while unloading my camera gear. She marched up with a clipboard in one hand and a look of thinly veiled disapproval in the other. "Welcome to Willow Creek Estates," she said, thrusting a folder into my hands. "Here are our community standards. Pay special attention to pages 5 through 20, particularly landscaping guidelines." Before I could respond, she was already inspecting my yard like a drill sergeant. "Your grass is a quarter-inch too high, and that native plant garden you're starting needs pre-approval. Page 18. As she turned on her heel and marched off, clipboard tapping against her side. Thankfully, not everyone in Willow Creek was like Cheryl. I quickly befriended Mr. and Mrs. Hahn, an elderly couple who offered homemade dumplings and heartfelt warnings. "Stay under Cheryl's radar, Mr. Hahn whispered. She drove out 4 families last year. No one dares oppose her." For a few months, I kept my head down, enduring the occasional nitpicking violation notice. That changed one rainy night in April. I found a family of injured skunks huddled beneath my back porch, shivering, an injured one adult female and 2 juveniles. With years of wildlife rehabilitation experience, I knew I had to help. I moved them to my basement, which I'd already outfitted for emergency animal care ventilation, temperature control, the works. I contacted my friend Dr. Naomi Ellis, a wildlife biologist, to assist. We set up a safe enclosure, treated the mother skunk's injured leg, and began nourishing the malnourished juveniles. Skunks, contrary to popular belief, don't spray unless threatened. Still, with mating season underway, the scent wasslets just stay noticeable despite my state-of-the-art filtration. At first, I managed the odor. Air purifiers, enzyme sprays, I tried everything. But skunks in mating season produce a musk so potent that even the best systems struggle. A faint, persistent scent crept into my home, and worse outside. One morning, Naomi was examining the skunks when I noticed movement outside the basement window. There was Cheryl, crouched behind my rose bushes, phone in hand, snapping photos like a suburban paparazzo. Within a day, an official HOA violation notice appeared on my door. Unauthorized harboring of wild animals. Immediate removal required within 48 hours, accompanied by a mandatory summons to the next HOA meeting. At the meeting, Cheryl wasted no time weaponizing fear. She flashed blurry photos of the skunks onto a projector. "These are disease-carrying, property-devaluing nuisances," she cried. "And Mr. Grayson is harboring them illegally." When it was my turn to speak, I calmly presented my wildlife rehabilitation permits legally issued by the state and explained that relocation during mating season could endanger the skunks and humans alike. Naomi backed me with scientific authority. Despite our arguments, Cheryl pushed for a vote to force immediate removal. Surprisingly, the board hesitated. In the end, a compromise was reached. A 2-week extension, provided no odor complaints arose. Cheryl fumed, but agreed. But Cheryl wasn't finished. Over the following days, she escalated her surveillance. I caught her snooping around my backyard, measuring my grass, and even attempting to peer into my basement windows. I installed security cameras. It wasn't long before the cameras captured her with a key she shouldn't have, attempting to break into my basement. Naomi suggested we let nature take its course. If Cheryl wanted evidence that badly, she could have it with a side of potent skunk musk. The next evening, while I presented at the local university, With Naomi secretly monitoring my security feeds, Cheryl crept into my backyard, bobby-pinned the basement door, and slipped inside smartphone camera rolling. I remotely triggered the basement lights. Startled, Cheryl dropped her phone right as the Skunks, frightened, released a synchronized defensive spray. The footage was both horrifying and hilarious. Cheryl stumbled back, gagging, tears streaming, clawing at the air. She was trapped. The basement door had automatically locked behind her. The Skunks, sensing her distress, continued their aromatic assault. I called the police to report break-in. When they arrived, even the officers had to mask up before dragging Cheryl out a dripping, retching mess. Cheryl was arrested for criminal trespassing. She threatened lawsuits. But when she tried suing me for emotional distress, Naomi's expert testimony and the footage of her breaking and entering shredded her case. Word of the Great Skunk incident spread through Willow Creek like wildfire. Cheryl became a pariah. HOA meetings moved online because no one could stomach her presence. But it got worse for her. Through the investigation, it surfaced that Cheryl had long-standing ties to a real estate developer, Stonegate Holdings, who'd been quietly buying up properties. Emails uncovered that Cheryl had been selectively enforcing violations to pressure homeowners into selling for a cut of the profits. At an emergency virtual HOA meeting, Mr. Carter, a retired judge and longtime resident, presented the evidence. Cheryl Hastings has not only abused her power, he declared, but violated fiduciary duty and engaged in fraud. Neighbors, many of whom had suffered her tyranny, demanded her resignation. Faced with mounting legal pressure, Cheryl resigned in disgrace. Mrs. Hahn was voted interim HOA president. But Cheryl wasn't done. She hired a private investigator to dig into my past, unearthing an old arrest from my college days for participating in a protest against deforestation. Cheryl spread rumors of me being an eco-terrorist. Instead of vilifying me, many neighbors admired my passion for conservation. Interest in local ecology blossomed. A wildlife sanctuary project was proposed and I was asked to help lead it. Meanwhile, Cheryl's legal woes mounted. Beyond trespassing charges, she faced civil suits from homeowners she'd defrauded. Stonegate Holdings pulled out of Willow Creek amid the scandal. Finally, after months of court battles, Cheryl pled guilty to multiple counts of fraud and was sentenced to probation, restitution payments, and a ban from any HOA or real estate-related work. Willow Creek transformed. Rules became more reasonable. Community gardens flourished. Wildlife corridors were established. Families who had once hidden in their homes now organized block parties and nature hikes. As for me, my photography work gained national attention. I even started a wildlife education program for local schools. Sometimes on warm evenings, I spot Marigold mother skunk and her growing family frolicking near the community garden. And every time I catch a whiff of that unmistakable skunky scent, I smile, remembering how Justice Metamescums wrapped in fur and the most fragrant of victories.